April 5th is a very important day for me in Korean culture and our ancestors, and I wanted to share a little bit about that with you. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another video by Pan Society. I'm Cherie, and I am so excited to talk to you today about Chuseok. Chuseok is a Korean holiday for remembering and honoring your ancestors. It comes around on April 5th, roughly, because Koreans do things on the lunar calendar, but that's okay, we work with what we have. It is the equivalent of possibly Dias de los Muertos in Mexico, where theirs is on November 1st and 2nd, where they go to the graves and they celebrate in sort of the same fashions that we do, except they do a different celebration. They have sugar skulls and all of that other stuff. I'm sure other cultures do have their own honor or ancestor days that they honor, and why I want to talk about mine is because I love how they're all connected in a sort of a way, and we all kind of do some of the same rituals for our ancestors, especially for the ones that do observe. So with the Korean one, I'm not going to give you all the details because it's sacred to us, and I mean you can probably look them up on the internet, but I just want to give you a general rundown to give you an idea of how I'll be celebrating. On April 5th, we're going to be going, well, traditionally we would go to the cemeteries, the grave sites. We would go clean the graves. We would cut grass. We would bring food, alcohol, spirits, incense. There's little rituals that are performed there, some honor that you're showing, bowing. There's a certain number of times you do certain things, or a certain number of objects you have or items, and that's particular to those rituals. After all of that is done, so this is usually done either the day before or early that morning, because after that you go home or to somebody's house, one of the relatives, and it's usually a larger number of the family is present because you're honoring ancestors together. Koreans have 2 days of a year that we honor ancestors. So the one that happens in April is for the ancestors that are closest to you. So this is first, second, third, fourth, maybe fifth generation ancestors closest to you. Later on in the year we do a different celebration for the older ancestors, so 5th, 6th, 7th and older, that has similar rituals but then different rituals because their grave sites might not be available anymore, or things have changed, and plus you're honoring people that you would never have had a chance to meet. So coming back to how we would celebrate, when everybody gets home or to the house that they're celebrating at, it's a larger amount of family members, and so traditionally a lot of food is made, and favorite foods of the ancestors that you're celebrating and honoring, and then of course of the people there, and then certain types of foods too, because that's what the dead enjoy. So you place all the food on a table in a room. You set it all up. Settings are all set. There's a table, like the altar, that's maybe not in that room but in the house somewhere, an ancestor altar. There are things that are happening, and then what'll happen is there's like a signal given, like a cough or a throat clearing or whatever, and that's the time for everybody to leave this room. So basically it's going to be kind of like a dumb supper that you're not invited to. And if you don't know what a dumb supper is when you sit around and have a meal with your ancestors and everybody's quiet, like the whole meal was made quietly, and then you sit down and you eat quietly with your ancestors, so that you try to listen for blessings that they give you, or if they want to talk to you. That's the idea of a dumb supper. So this is the dumb supper that you don't get an invitation to. Basically you shut the door to this room that has all the food on the table, and the ancestors will appear and come eat. What they leave behind are blessings for the rest of the family. So you do this for about a couple minutes. Everybody's in the other room just sitting around having tea, and then the oldest male relative will kind of give a signal, like throat clearing. I think he does this like twice, and so that's the cue for everybody to filter back in this room. And then so everybody kind of inspects, and they're like, oh, look at the blessings that they've left us or given us, or the good fortune we have. blessed by our ancestors. And then some people will take all the food away and they divvy it up between all the people that are there. And then everybody can sit down and have a meal together and tea and talk. And then they talk, you know, they share stories of the ancestors. It's not a sad moment. It's actually a happy, joyous moment. Just a little reserved because Asians kind of don't show a lot of emotions. But it is a nice way to celebrate and honor your ancestors. Now, with modern times, it is not that strict anymore. So we don't celebrate because we might not live as close to family. I sure don't. So you kind of make do with what you have, right? So instead of making all the big food and having everybody over, and then maybe I don't live where my ancestors are buried. They're buried back in Korea. So you kind of have to honor in your own little way at home. And I'm glad to do this. So in modern times, it's been scaled back. They don't honor all the ancestors. Maybe they'll do just the parents and grandparents. And sometimes they don't do it on April 5th, although a lot still will. They signify the time that that person died, and they do something special for that person on that day. That day becomes very important and sacred. My mom and stepdad still observe this, and actually my stepdad's Father's Day is coming up soon, and it's what got me thinking a lot about it too, because I love how they still honor the people before them and how they take great care, and there's still love and emotion going into this as they do this. So for me in modern times, I don't have a lot of ancestors here to cook for. I don't have any. My mom is an immigrant here as I am, and so we're kind of like the first people here, and my sister as well. Oh, she was born here though. So what I do is I take that time and I cook all the favorite foods of mine, and I take that time and invite the ancestors in there with me. I love the thought that they're in there with me in the kitchen, helping me make the food. The food tastes so much better that day. There's I feel like I'm learning things. It's like a weighted love that's happening while I'm preparing all this food and going through the ritual of doing the observance of my ancestors. And when I sit down to eat, I give a couple of moments and I still let them eat before me, and then I'll enjoy my portion of it. Sometimes my husband celebrates with me. He won't be here this time, so I'll be all by myself, which is okay. I enjoy that time with my ancestors, because even though I do pay observance to them every day, those days seem a little bit more special because it is all about them. And I love that feeling, and I love having that connection with my family that way. So by the time this whole celebration can last as long as you want to. It usually actually goes until late into the night, almost midnight, sometimes after, depending on, you know, the more people, obviously, the longer it lasts. But then that's up to you. So after sharing all this with you, I'm kind of curious, do you guys have ancestral remembrance days in your culture or your beliefs? Comment down below and let me know. I'd really love to hear about them. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in another pan video.